The blind alien girl's mother made the match. Her heart chooses when she finally sees. The unexpected arrangement. The morning mist on Ethora glowed with soft phosphorescence as Kale Theron navigated the floating marketplace. Suspended platforms drifted gently between towering bio-trees, their branches pulsing with natural light. He'd been on this alien world for only 3 weeks, serving as cultural liaison between Earth's embassy and the Ethran Council, but already he felt more at home here than anywhere else he'd been stationed. "Please, honored merchant, I only need directions." An elderly Ethran woman struggled with her hovering cart, its anti-gravity field flickering dangerously. Without hesitation, Kale steadied the device, his fingers finding the hidden reset sequence he'd learned from a technician friend. "There," he said gently in fluent Ethran, the melodic language flowing naturally from his lips. "The field should hold now." From an elevated pavilion, Matriarch Vesa Morel observed this interaction with calculating eyes. She'd been watching this human for days, noting his kindness, his respect for their customs, his unusual ability to sense the emotional undercurrents that governed Ethran society. Her daughter Lyanna needed someone exactly like this, someone who could see beyond the surface. That evening, Kale received an unexpected summons to the Morel estate. The crystalline structure seemed to sing in the wind, its walls reflecting the bioluminescent forest surrounding it. Matriarch Vesa received him in her study, her bearing regal despite her advanced age. "Kale Theron," she began without preamble, "I have chosen you for my daughter." Kale's diplomatic training barely kept his shock from showing. "Matriarch, I'm deeply honored, but I don't understand." "My Lyanna has been blind since birth," Vesa continued, her voice softening. "She experiences the world through touch, sound, and what we call inner sight, a form of empathic perception. She needs a partner who can bridge worlds for her, someone patient and kind. I've watched you. You have these qualities." Before Kale could respond, soft footsteps approached. Lyanna entered, guided by subtle sounds only she could interpret. Her movements held an ethereal grace, her unseeing eyes a shade of silver-violet unique to her people. Her delicate features carried an expression of curious intelligence. "Mother, you summoned me." Her voice was music itself. "Lyanna, meet Kale Theron. He will be spending time with us." As their hands touched in greeting, Kale felt an unexpected spark, not just attraction, but recognition, as if something deep within him had been waiting for exactly this moment. Learning to navigate. The garden sanctuary behind the Morel estate became their daily meeting place. Floating platforms covered in soft moss drifted between waterfalls that flowed upward, defying gravity in ways that still amazed Kale. He would arrive early each morning, finding Lyanna already there, her fingers tracing the texture of exotic flowers that chimed when touched. "Tell me about Earth's flowers," she requested on their 4th day together, settling beside him on a cushioned bench that adjusted to their combined weight. Kale thought carefully, wanting to paint pictures with words she could feel. "Roses have layered petals, soft as silk but arranged in spirals. They carry perfume that can fill a room, and their stems bear thorns, nature's way of protecting beauty." Lyanna smiled, her hand finding his with surprising accuracy. "You describe things differently than others. You speak of feeling and meaning, not just appearance." Their routine evolved naturally. Kale would guide her through the marketplace, but soon realized she needed little help navigating familiar spaces. Instead, he became her interpreter of the visual world, describing the way light played through crystal formations or how off-world visitors dressed. In return, Lyanna taught him to perceive through other senses, the emotional resonance in footsteps, the stories told by subtle changes in breathing. "You're trembling," she observed one afternoon, her fingers resting lightly on his wrist as they sat by a singing fountain. "Councillor Draven is watching us," Kale admitted. The stern official had been testing him all week, setting subtle traps to prove humans were unsuitable for Ethran partnership. Lyanna's expression grew mischievous. "Then let's give him something interesting to report." She leaned closer, her breath warm against his ear. "Tell me, Kale Theron, what color are your eyes?" "Green," he whispered back, acutely aware of her proximity. "Like Earth's oceans where they meet the shore." "I imagine colors as temperatures," she confided, her hand sliding up to rest against his cheek. "Green feels like cool spring mornings, like hope and growth. It suits you." Draven cleared his throat loudly from across the garden. Lionel laughed, the sound like silver bells, completely unrepentant. He thinks you'll take advantage of the blind girl, she said with amused defiance. He doesn't understand that I see you clearly, just differently. That evening, as Kale walked her back to the main house, she stopped suddenly. You're falling for me, she stated. Not a question but a gentle acknowledgement. How do you? Your heartbeat changes when we touch. Your breathing deepens when I laugh. Your entire presence leans toward me like a plant toward sunlight. She squeezed his hand. It's mutual, you should know. Hearts speaking in darkness. The 3 moons of Ethora aligned only once each month, casting the world in ethereal silver radiance. Kale found Lionel on the highest platform of the floating gardens, her face turned toward the sky she couldn't see. Do you miss it? He asked, settling beside her on the soft bio cushions. Seeing, I mean. How can I miss what I've never known? She pulled him down to lie beside her, their shoulders touching. Tell me about the moons. Kale studied the celestial display above them. 3 sisters dancing in the void. The largest is pearl white, covered in swirling clouds. The middle one glows faintly purple, your favorite color, you once said. The smallest is silver blue, racing faster than her sisters across the sky. You make everything poetry, Lionel murmured, turning toward him. Her fingers found his face, tracing his features with artist's precision. I've been sculpting you in clay. May I? Her touch mapped the angle of his jaw, the curve of his lips, the slope of his nose. Each contact sent electricity through him. When her thumb brushed across his mouth, he caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. Lionel. I know what kiss means, she whispered. The joining of breath, the sharing of life force. In our culture, it's sacred. Then I should ask. She silenced him by finding his lips with hers, the kiss tender and searching. When they parted, her cheeks were flushed with phosphorescent patterns, an etherian sign of deep emotion. I've been thinking, she said, still close enough that he felt her words as much as heard them. Mother chose you for traditional reasons, but my heart chooses you for entirely different ones. You see me as complete, not broken. You don't pity me or try to fix me. Because you're perfect as you are, Kale replied, pulling her against him. She fit naturally into the curve of his body, her head finding the hollow of his shoulder. There's something you should know, Lionel said after a long moment. The Aurora Celestis is coming, a cosmic phenomenon that happens once in a lifetime. Ancient texts say it can restore sight to those born without it, temporarily. Kale's arms tightened around her. Are you going to? I want to see you, she admitted, vulnerability creeping into her voice. Not because I need to, but because I want to know if my heart's vision matches reality. Is that foolish? He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, the tip of her nose. Nothing about you is foolish. If you want this, I'll be there with you. They stayed entwined under the moons until dawn, sharing whispered confessions and gentle explorations, their connection deepening beyond the physical into something transcendent. The gift of sight. The Aurora Celestis would arrive in 3 days. The entire planet buzzed with anticipation, but nowhere more than in the Morel estate. Ancient texts were consulted, preparations made. Lionel spent hours with the family's archives, her fingers reading raised symbols that described the phenomenon. It says the restoration lasts only while the Aurora dances, she explained to Kale in her private chambers, surrounded by scrolls and data tablets. Perhaps an hour, maybe 2. Some reported overwhelming sensory overload. Others spoke of transcendent joy. Kale took her hands, noting their slight tremor. Are you afraid? Terrified, she admitted. What if sight changes how I feel about you? What if the physical reality doesn't match what I've built in my mind? Then we'll deal with it together, he promised. But Lionel, what I feel for you goes beyond any sense. You could see me and decide I'm hideous, and I'd still love you. Love, she repeated softly. Such a small word for such an enormous feeling. Matriarch Vessa entered, carrying an ancient crystalline headpiece. This will help focus the Aurora's energy, she explained, placing it carefully on her daughter's head. Your great-grandmother wore it during the last Aurora Celestis. She was also born without sight. What did she see? Lionel asked. Vessa smiled. Her husband's face. She said it was worth the century of waiting. The night of the Aurora, the entire population gathered in the open spaces. Kale stood with Lionel on their favorite platform, her hand gripping his tightly. Myra Sol, his colleague, had come to support them, along with, surprisingly, Councillor Draven. Whatever happens, Draven said gruffly, you've proven yourself worthy, human. The sky began to shimmer. Waves of impossible color cascaded across the heavens, colors that had no names in any language. The Aurora descended like a living thing, embracing the planet in its cosmic dance. Lionel gasped, her free hand flying to the crystalline headpiece. Light poured through it, surrounding her in a cocoon of radiance. Her silver-violet eyes began to glow, then clear, pupils forming where none had been before. For a long moment, she kept them closed, breathing rapidly. Then, slowly, she opened them and looked directly at Kale. The wonder on her face was indescribable. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she raised a trembling hand to his face, now seeing what she had only felt before. Oh, she breathed. Oh, you're beautiful. More beautiful than I imagined. She looked around wildly, taking in the floating gardens, the bioluminescent trees, the swirling aurora above. But her gaze kept returning to Kale, drinking in every detail. What the heart sees. Your eyes really are the color of hope, Lionel whispered, her newly sighted gaze locked on Kale's face. Around them, the Aurora Celestis painted the world in impossible hues, but she had attention only for him. Come, she said urgently, pulling him toward her chambers. I don't know how long this will last. In the privacy of her room, she stood before the mirror, seeing herself for the first time. Her hands traced her own features with wonder, then turned back to Kale. Show me, she breathed, moving toward him with new confidence. Show me everything I've been missing. Kale caught her hands, kissing each palm reverently. You haven't been missing anything. You've been experiencing everything differently. But now I want to see you, she said, her fingers working at the clasps of his formal tunic. I want to watch your face when I touch you. I want to see the colors of passion you described. Their coming together was a dance of discovery. Lionel marveled at the play of light on skin, the way expressions shifted with emotion, the visual poetry of physical intimacy. She traced the scars on his shoulder from a childhood accident, watched the way his pupils dilated when she kissed him, observed the phosphorescent patterns that appeared on her own skin when aroused, a trait of her people she'd never witnessed. You glow, Kale murmured against her throat. You literally glow when you're happy. She laughed, watching in a mirror how her whole body emanated soft light. So this is what Mother meant by lighting up a room. They made love slowly, Lionel insisting on keeping her eyes open for every moment, memorizing the visual to match what her other senses had already learned. When ecstasy overtook them, the phosphorescent patterns on her skin burst into brilliant spirals, and she saw Kale's face transform with wonder and love. Afterward, they lay entwined by the window, watching the aurora begin to fade. Lionel felt the sight beginning to dim, the temporary gift retreating. I need to tell you, she said urgently, turning his face toward hers while she could still see. What I see matches exactly what I felt. You are precisely who I knew you to be. Beautiful, kind, mine. Yours, he agreed, kissing her as her eyes began to cloud. Always yours. When the aurora finally departed and her sight with it, Lionel smiled. I have a lifetime of images now, she said contentedly. But more importantly, I know that my heart saw truly from the beginning. Matriarch Vessa found them the next morning, still wrapped around each other, and smiled. The council will expect a formal bonding ceremony, she said. Let them expect, Lionel replied, her unseeing eyes bright with joy. We're already bonded in every way that matters. Kale kissed her forehead, and she glowed again. Sight or no sight, their love illuminated everything it touched. The end.